chosen one. You got people out here scratching their heads wondering who they thought they were to try you. See, they mistook your divine energy for weakness, your kindness for stupidity, your light for something they could dim whenever they felt like it. They had the audacity to plot against someone who carries divine protection they couldn't even see coming. The universe was taking notes the whole time, building their karma case file while they thought they were building yours. Now they're sitting there realizing they tried to go to war with someone who was never meant to lose. And honey, that realization is eating them alive. It started small. One person decided they didn't like you. Maybe because you threatened their position. Maybe because you reminded them of everything they weren't becoming. Instead of handling their insecurity internally, they decided to make you the problem. You probably remember how it escalated. That first person found a second person who was willing to join their little hate club. Then 2 became 3. 3 became 5. Before you knew it, you had a whole group of people who had never really known you, deciding behind your back who you were and who you should be. They felt powerful in their numbers. They got high off each other's negativity, feeding into this toxic group dynamic where talking down about you became their favorite pastime. What they didn't realize was that their unity against you was actually fragile. It was built on lies, jealousy, and shared insecurity, not the kind of foundation that lasts when real pressure gets applied. They were about to discover just how quickly their alliance would crumble when the truth started surfacing. Meanwhile, something else was happening in the spiritual realm. Every person they recruited to their cause was actually being marked by the universe. Every conversation they had about you was being monitored by forces they couldn't see. Their own words were becoming the evidence that would eventually destroy them. While they were busy gossiping about your life, you were actually living it. You might have been going through real challenges, a difficult divorce, leaving an abusive relationship, figuring out your career path, raising children, or navigating major life transitions. You were dealing with actual problems that required actual solutions. And what were they focused on? Whether your hair color was appropriate for a parent, whether you should be smoking marijuana as an adult, whether your outfit was too sexy for their comfort, whether you lost too many jobs for their liking. The irony was becoming crystal clear to everyone watching. You were handling real adult responsibilities while they were stuck in high school mentality. You were building something meaningful while they were tearing things down. You were growing while they were stagnating. Their parents started noticing the difference. Friends started making comparisons. The community began to see the stark contrast between your resilience and their pettiness. While you were figuring out how to level up, they were figuring out new ways to bring you down. Real life doesn't care about their opinions, though. Real life was about to serve them a reality check that would make all their criticism of you look laughable. The universe was preparing to show them exactly what real problems look like, and spoiler alert, it wasn't going to be pretty. Your strength during this period was building something inside you that they would never understand. Every challenge you faced while they criticized you from the sidelines was developing your character, your resilience, your ability to rise above circumstances. They thought they were watching you struggle. They were actually watching you level up in real time. These people had a serious problem with reality. They didn't base their judgments on facts. They built entire narratives off their opinions and then defended those opinions like they were gospel truth. Let's say you wore a leather outfit to a family barbecue. A normal person might think that's a bold choice and move on with their day. Your haters, they turned that leather outfit into evidence that you were trying to seduce everyone at the gathering. They took one fact, the clothes, and built an entire story around your supposed intentions, your character, your worth as a person. This is how they operated with everything. They told lies so frequently and with such conviction that they started believing their own fabrications. They would argue passionately about things they literally made up on the spot. They appointed themselves as authority figures over your life, acting like they had some right to police your choices and judge your worth. They tried to shame you for being confident, for being sexual, for being yourself. They couldn't handle that you refused to shrink yourself to make them comfortable. Their lives were about to become prophetic, not about you, but about themselves. Every negative thing they projected onto you was actually revealing their own future. Every character flaw they assigned to you was actually describing their own hidden nature. The universe has a sense of humor, and it was about to deliver the punchline. Their ability to lie so easily was actually exposing something darker about their character. People started paying attention to how effortlessly they could create elaborate fictions about you. They began wondering if they can lie this boldly about someone they claim to know. What are they saying about us when we're not around? The seeds of doubt were being planted in every relationship they had. Their credibility was eroding with every exaggerated story, every dramatic retelling, every obvious embellishment. They thought they were destroying your reputation when they were actually destroying their own. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when they stop accepting unacceptable treatment. For you, that moment came when you realized you didn't have to tolerate people treating you any type of way just because they thought they could. You put them in their place. You spread their business around just like they'd been doing to you. You set the record straight about who they really were and what they really been doing. Some people tried to shame you for defending yourself, telling you to just let it go or be the bigger person. Where was that energy when they were sitting around listening to gossip about you? Where was that let it go mentality when people were making up stories about your life? Where was the call for maturity when they were testing you, trying to see how much disrespect you'd accept? You got tired of the testing. You got tired of people feeling like they could talk to you any type of way. You got tired of being expected to absorb their negativity without responding. So you stopped playing their game and started playing by your own rules. This decision triggered something massive in the spiritual realm. The moment you chose to stand up for yourself, you activated a level of divine protection that had been waiting for this exact moment. Your ancestors smiled. Your guide stepped forward. The universe itself shifted to support your decision. The people who told you to be the bigger person were about to learn why that advice was so dangerous. They wanted you to stay small so they could continue their attacks without consequences. They wanted you defenseless so they could keep using you as their emotional punching bag. Your decision to fight back wasn't just about defending yourself. It was about setting a boundary that would protect every chosen one who came after you. You were drawing a line in the sand that said, not today, not tomorrow, not ever again. You discovered that you weren't just dealing with regular human drama. You were experiencing spiritual warfare, and you were on the winning side. Divine protection started surrounding you like an invisible shield. Your ancestors, your guides, your angels, they all stepped in to make sure these people couldn't touch your spirit or your destiny. The energy they'd been sending your way started bouncing back to them like a spiritual boomerang. Every lie they told, every bit of negativity they projected, every attempt to harm your reputation or your peace, it all started working against them instead of against you. You learned that as a chosen one, you don't fight these battles alone. The universe itself conspires to protect those who are walking in their purpose and standing in their truth. The protection that activated around you wasn't just defensive, it was actively working to expose them. Every secret they thought they'd hidden was about to come to light. Every wrong they'd committed was about to be revealed. Every person they'd manipulated was about to see them clearly. And now let us take a brief moment to honor the chosen among us. Here's to the ones who see the world differently, the silent guardians, the watchful souls. Always awake, always vigilant. They don't fit the mold and they wouldn't have it any other way. While others walk familiar paths, they forge their own, fighting unseen battles, illuminating the shadows. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. But if you feel it deep within, you'll know this is meant for you. No masks, No pretense, just truth. The Obsidian Inner Order is here, a place where kindred spirits gather to share wisdom, to connect, to transform. Over 450 strong, united not by conformity but by purpose. If you're ready, you know where to find us. The link is in the description. If not, that's perfectly fine, because we're always here watching over, making a difference in ways unseen. Here's to those who walk their own path, not for recognition, but because it's who they are. Here's to you. Thank you. Your spiritual awakening was accelerating at a pace that would have taken years under normal circumstances. The attack on your character forced you to discover strengths you didn't know you had. The lies they told made you seek and find your own truth. The isolation they tried to create around you made you connect with higher sources of support. They thought they were breaking you down when they were actually helping you break through to a new level of spiritual awareness. They thought they were cursing you when they were actually blessing you with clarity, discernment, and power. The spiritual tools you learned during this period would serve you for the rest of your life. The protection you activated would extend to your family, your friends, your future relationships. They gave you the greatest gift possible. They forced you to discover your own divine nature. Even after you cut them off, they couldn't let go. Someone has been doing deep searches through your social media, not just casually checking your posts, but really investigating your life. They're clicking on your likes to see who's supporting you. They're checking who you follow and who follows you back. They're analyzing who you interact with and building a picture of your social circle. They're doing all this detective work because they can't believe the story they created about you isn't matching reality. They expected you to fail, to struggle, to prove their narrative right. Instead, they're discovering that you're thriving, surrounded by people who genuinely love and respect you, living a life that's far more fulfilling than the one they imagined for you. This surveillance isn't just happening on a physical level. Spiritually, their consciousness is reaching out to you through dreams, through energy, through that strange way people can feel when someone is thinking about them intensely. Their guilt, their regret, their obsession, it's all creating a spiritual connection they probably don't even realize exists. Their obsession with monitoring your life is actually evidence of how wrong they were about everything. If you were really the person they claimed you were, why would your life be getting better instead of worse? If their assessment of your character was accurate, why are you attracting higher quality people and opportunities? The more they watch, the more obvious it becomes that they were projecting their own issues onto you. They're seeing you live the life they wish they could have, surrounded by the kind of people they wish they could attract, achieving the kind of success they can only dream about. Their surveillance is also revealing something disturbing about their character. Normal people move on after relationships end. Normal people focus on their own lives instead of obsessing over someone else's. Their inability to let go is showing everyone around them that something is seriously wrong with their mental and emotional state. Each time they check your social media, they're hoping to find evidence that you're struggling without them. Instead, they keep finding proof that you're better off without them. Each post, each photo, each update is like a knife to their ego because it confirms what they've been desperately trying to deny. You never needed them, and you're thriving without them. While they were throwing stones at your character, they were living in the most fragile glass houses imaginable. The truth about who they really are started coming to light, and it wasn't pretty. Some of them ended up in court, not for anything small either. Armed robbery, fraud, scamming PPP loans, drug-related charges, drunk driving incidents. These weren't minor mistakes. These were serious crimes that revealed the darkness they'd been hiding while pointing fingers at you. Others were dealing with domestic violence, staying with partners who were abusing them just so they'd have someone to feature on their social media. They were talking about your relationship choices while accepting treatment that no self-respecting person would tolerate. Some were still living with their parents, pretending to be students while accumulating debt they had no plan to pay back. They were criticizing your career moves while having no career of their own. They were judging your parenting while their own children were being raised by whoever would take them. The hypocrisy was staggering. These people would criticize your outfit while having registered sex offenders in their homes. They judge your lifestyle while being involved in illegal activities that put actual people at risk. The most shocking revelations were yet to come. People started connecting dots about their past behavior. Stories began emerging about their history of lying, manipulating, and betraying people who trusted them. The pattern of their behavior became impossible to ignore. Their criminal activities weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a lifestyle built on taking shortcuts, avoiding responsibility, and exploiting others. While you were working honestly for everything you had, they were scheming, stealing, and scamming their way through life. The legal troubles they faced weren't just consequences for their actions. They were cosmic justice for the way they treated you and others. The universe has a way of making sure that people who try to destroy others end up destroying themselves instead. The beautiful thing about truth is that it has a way of surfacing. People in your broader community started getting tired of the negativity these haters were spreading. Someone finally cursed them out on your behalf, telling them exactly what everyone had been thinking. Parents started calling out their own adult children, pointing out that at least you had your own place, your own car, your own independence. At least you weren't asking for $5 every 10 minutes. At least you were actually doing something with your life instead of just talking about what other people should be doing with theirs. Real friends started speaking up, reminding these people that you hadn't done anything except set the record straight when they tried to spread lies about you. People started recognizing that the way they treated you revealed more about their character than yours. The community began to see the pattern. They lost friendships over real issues like not paying their share, cheating, making passes at their friends' partners, or other genuine betrayals. You were cut off simply because they couldn't respect you as a human being. The shift in public opinion was swift and devastating for them. People who had initially believed their stories started questioning everything they'd been told. The lies began unraveling as more people came forward with their own experiences of being manipulated or deceived by the same individuals. Former friends started sharing stories about how they'd been treated behind closed doors. Ex-partners revealed the truth about their character when no one was watching. Family members began admitting that they'd been covering for behavior they couldn't defend anymore. The support you received from the community wasn't just about people liking you. It was about people recognizing the difference between someone who makes mistakes and someone who systematically hurts others. They saw that your flaws were human and relatable, while their behavior was toxic and destructive. Local businesses started choosing sides. Mutual friends had to make decisions about who they could trust. Social circles that have been stable for years began reshaping themselves around the truth of who these people really were versus who they pretended to be. While they were stuck in the same place you left them, you kept growing. You started attracting people who were not only more attractive physically, but more attractive as human beings. People with integrity, ambition, kindness, and respect for boundaries. You reached new heights in your career, your relationships, your personal development. You started receiving opportunities that they could only dream of. Your social status began reflecting the truth about who you'd always been, someone worthy of respect, love, and success. The contrast became impossible to ignore. You were living proof that their narrative about you was fiction. You were surrounded by people who saw your value, who celebrated your wins, who supported your growth. You were building a life that reflected your true worth. Your self-respect became magnetic, attracting more people who knew how to treat you right. You no longer needed anyone's validation because you were confident in your own worth. You no longer needed to argue with people about your value because your life was providing all the evidence necessary. The quality of people entering your life during this period was like an upgrade to first class after flying economy for years. These new connections appreciated your intelligence, celebrated your successes, and contributed to your growth instead of trying to stunt it. Your career trajectory shifted dramatically. Opportunities that had seemed impossible before started presenting themselves naturally. People with real influence and power began recognizing your potential and opening doors that had been closed to you before. The relationships you built during this time were based on mutual respect and shared values rather than convenience or proximity. You learned the difference between people who wanted to be around you because of what you could do for them versus people who genuinely enjoyed your company and supported your dreams. Watching your success while dealing with the consequences of their own choices broke something inside them. They started feeling exhausted, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally drained from carrying so much negativity for so long. All the fears they tried to project onto you became their own reality. They predicted you would fail, struggle, end up alone and miserable. Instead, those predictions became their own experience while you flourished. Some of them started crying, not just in their waking life, but in their dreams, in their subconscious, in the spiritual realm where truth can't be hidden or denied. Their guilt became so heavy that it started affecting them on levels they didn't even understand. They realized they had no drive, no direction, no real purpose beyond the negativity they'd been spreading. They'd wasted years of their lives focused on you instead of building their own futures. They'd procrastinated on their own growth while obsessing over yours. The exhaustion they felt wasn't just from their legal troubles or relationship problems. It was from fighting against the universe itself. They'd been swimming against a current so strong that they'd worn themselves out completely. Every day they spent trying to bring you down was a day they could have spent building themselves up. Their mental health began deteriorating as the weight of their choices caught up with them. The stress of maintaining lies, dealing with legal consequences, and watching you succeed while they struggled created a perfect storm of psychological pressure they weren't equipped to handle. Sleep became elusive as their conscience finally started working overtime. The guilt they'd been suppressing began surfacing in ways they couldn't control, through nightmares, anxiety attacks, and moments of clarity that made them realize how wrong they'd been about everything. Their social circles contracted as people distanced themselves from the drama and negativity they brought to every situation. They found themselves increasingly isolated, surrounded only by other toxic people who were dealing with their own consequences for similar behavior. Now they're tired. Tired of the drama they created. Tired of the back and forth gossip that drained everyone involved. Tired of living without the positive energy you brought to their lives. They're starting to miss you, starting to remember why they wanted to be around you in the first place. Some of them want to reach out, want some kind of reunion or reconciliation. They're used to you being the one who reached out before, the one who apologized even when you weren't wrong, the one who kept the peace even when they were the ones disturbing it. Your evolved version isn't interested in going backward, though. If they want back into your life, they're going to have to come correct. They're going to have to admit what they did wrong. They're going to have to apologize sincerely, not just sweep everything under the rug and pretend it never happened. They're going to have to treat you with the respect they should have shown from the beginning. They're going to have to prove they've learned how to be kind, how to be supportive, how to be real friends instead of energy vampires. You're going to reach even greater heights. Your success story is just getting started. You're destined for a level of achievement and recognition that will make their past treatment of you look even more ridiculous in hindsight. The people you're attracting now understand your worth. They see your vision. They support your dreams. They celebrate your wins without jealousy or competition. You're building relationships based on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine connection. Your words are becoming more powerful because they come from a place of authentic confidence rather than a need to prove yourself. You're choosing to speak only what uplifts and empowers, both for yourself and others. You're setting an example of how to live with integrity, how to treat people with respect, how to build a life worth admiring. Universe is preparing to reward you for surviving the test they put you through. Every door they tried to close is about to open wider than before. Every opportunity they tried to block is about to multiply exponentially. Every relationship they tried to destroy is going to be replaced with something infinitely better. You survived the test. Every attack, every lie, every attempt to break your spirit only made you stronger and more aware of your own power. You learned to recognize fake people immediately. You developed discernment that protects you from future energy vampires. You built boundaries that keep your peace intact. Your tribe upgraded automatically because you upgraded your standards. You're now surrounded by people who match your energy, who respect your boundaries, who contribute to your growth instead of trying to stunt it. You've learned the difference between people who celebrate you and people who tolerate you. You're heavily protected now, not just by your own wisdom and strength, but by spiritual forces that guard those who are fulfilling their divine purpose. Your destiny is secure. Your legacy is being written with every choice you make to rise above pettiness and step into your greatness. While they remain stuck in the same cycles of negativity and self-destruction, you continue ascending toward the heights you are always meant to reach. They thought they knew who they were dealing with when they had no idea they were trying to dim the light of a chosen one. The final truth they're going to have to face is that they never had the power to stop your destiny. They never had the authority to determine your worth. They never had the right to judge your path. They were just background characters in your story of triumph, playing the role of obstacles that made your victory even sweeter. Now they know. Now everyone knows, and you're just getting started.